had your back, I wouldn't have did all that.
Hey babes, welcome back to my channel. And if you're new, my name is Aisha and I do videos related to beauty, fashion, lifestyle, all that fun stuff. So if you're into that, please hit the subscribe button. So for today's video, I just did a little girl chit chat. Get ready with me. I just did my really simple makeup look. This is kind of like my everyday whatever, minus the lashes because I just decided to add these on. My friends to send me some topics which ended up being so hard for them. Next time I'm just going to Instagram. I'm asking y'all to let me know these topics, okay? Stay tuned for the rest of the video. So let's get into the first topic, why I started my YouTube channel. But first, I just want to let you guys know I already primed my face. I use the e.l.f. Jelly Primer. Since I'm going in with a tinted moisturizer today, I'm just going to color correct under my eyes with this LA Girl Pro Conceal in the color orange. So let's get into the first topic, why I started my YouTube channel. This has been something I've been wanting to do for a while now. I'm talking like back in high school, and this was years ago, and I'm already graduated from college. So I've been wanting to do this for a while, but I just gave myself like 1,000 reasons why I shouldn't do it. So I just put it off for so long. It's just always been something fun for me. So it's like, why not just film it and post it for other people to see? And honestly, another thing was, especially like back in the day, it was almost impossible to find like someone around my age who's my complexion on here just like doing like product reviews or just anything really. So it was such a discouragement at the time. I was like, you know, why am I only seeing like lighter skinned people everywhere? It wasn't like any dark skinned people, barely. I remember looking at like, I would like try to find product reviews for certain products and I would try to look for people who are my complexion and I just couldn't find it. So it was just for a while, I was like, wow, like this really sucks. Like we need representation. It's so important. Like even now we do have like a little bit more dark skinned people, but it's still like, we could still use more. There's always room for more. So I was like, this is something I wanted to do and I definitely want to add to like being that person for, you know, younger women or women who are my age, whatever. So I was like, you know what? Why not just do it? Because if I keep putting it off, I'm going to put it off forever. We just need more representation for dark-skinned women. So, and there can never be enough. I was like, let me do it. Even if it's only one person that like looks at me and is like, oh my God, like, yay, like she's my complexion, you know, stuff like that. That's enough for me because that's all I wanted. And for a long time, I saw myself in that position, wanting to see that other person, you know, who looks like me, you know, or is into the same things as me. All right, so now I'm going to go in with the ColourPop tinted moisturizer. I got this in the shade like dark 22 and I'll put all the shades in the description. The next topic I want to get into is just becoming that girl. Now, this means something different to everyone really. First, you want to ask yourself like, who do you want to be like as a person? I know on social media it looks very like one way because there's this one aesthetic that I'm always seeing of what really like that girl is, but I really think it's different for everybody. Like not everybody wants to be viewed the same way and that's totally fine. Like becoming the person you want to be, it shouldn't be like the next person anyway, because at that point then it's kind of just like you're mimicking what you're seeing, which isn't always intentional because sometimes it could really be just like unintentional. Like you won't know you're really trying to like mimic what you see. But especially now with social media, I feel like it's just so easy to become what you're not, like unconsciously. Wait, not unconsciously, subconsciously. Anyway, y'all know what I mean. So it's really easy because you're seeing what everybody else is doing, how everybody else is dressing, how everybody else is speaking, what everybody else is into, just so much stuff. So it's really easy to just get wrapped in like what other people are doing, how other people are, and you could kind of like morph that into thinking that's what you are or that's what you want to be. So I feel like now more than ever, it's so important to know yourself, know what you want, know the type of person you want to be and how you want to be viewed and all of that. So it's really important to just know what works for you. For me personally, becoming the woman I want to be just involves a lot of just being consistent with everything I do, creating a routine for myself, which has been like the biggest thing for myself this year is just creating a routine, because I think that brings so much structure in your life, guys. Don't underestimate it. Do not. And it can be hard to adjust, especially when you're just used to like going with the flow, waking up whenever you want, eating whatever you want, doing whatever you want, like just as the day goes. I get it. That's much easier because you're not disciplining yourself as much when you do that. So when you create structure, creating healthy habits, guys, it like does a complete 360. I think for me this year has been like the most I've been like disciplined and structured, and I could say that's why I've gotten to so many of my goals this year. And it's like, and if you see me looking down a lot, it's because I have my mirror here. Okay, so yeah. And like I said, this is very light coverage. I'm not going for like a full coverage base, so that's why it's looking very light. But guys, trust me, at the end it just looks very put together. Creating structure makes such a big difference. Like, you'll realize you feel better, you're doing better, you get things done more, just being organized all together. And being organized, it works different for everybody. Like, what I like to do is, now I like to wake up early for sure. Like, I'm not gonna be waking up at 11 o'clock no more, 10 o'clock. Well, I can't though, because I have a job, so your girl gotta be up. But even on weekends when I don't have much to do and I don't necessarily have to be up at a certain time, I'm still gonna wake up, I'm still gonna get up, I'm gonna shower, I'm gonna do my bed, clean my room, stuff like that. Because for me personally, that's what makes me feel good. That's what motivates me to get it creates like a good foundation to my day. So, and then immediately I'm just naturally more productive. So getting myself ready and stuff like that, because when my space is clean and I feel like it just makes my mind feel less cluttered. So it's much easier for me to maneuver. Another thing is like doing things like when I'm eating breakfast, I'll make the presentation nice. I won't put it on a plastic plate. I'll use a nice glass plate. I'll make my coffee in a nice cup. Just doing things like that for me personally just sets the tone. It makes me feel good. That's what I consider luxury. Luxury can mean a lot of different things to anybody depending on, you know, whatever you're into. But for me, just presenting things nicely, you know, making my food look nice, just upping the little things that you do on a daily and making it more luxurious, it makes such a difference. Do not underestimate that. I'm gonna conceal with the e.l.f. Camo Concealer. So just to continue off of what I was saying, to become the person you want to be, you have to be able to point out your flaws. And I know that's not always easy for a lot of people, because we just like to think we're right and everything we're doing is fine. Everybody else is in the wrong. Like, we're not the problem. It's very easy to think that way, but that's how you hinder your growth. We really cannot think that like we're just always right and our ways, how we just do things, how we handle things is the right way. Because when you think like that, then it's like you're not gonna grow. You need to be able to point out your flaws. That's just important, because then we fix those things and then we can really be who we want to be and be perceived by others how we want to be perceived. And this is not to say that like how other people view us necessarily matters, but we also cannot act like how we're perceived by others doesn't have any effects in our lives, because it does. Like, for example, just like going in for a job interview, for example, if you're coming in, you know, looking dusty, speaking a certain way, doing certain things that come off, you know, unprofessional, are you gonna get the job? No. Maybe not when it comes to like looks. Maybe that's not the most important part, but when it comes to like, you know, our character and stuff, that's definitely important. And I think we should care about that part. And just maybe other little things, like how you just want to be perceived as a person overall. Some people, you know, they want to be looked at as like a boss. Like, you want to walk in the room and you want people to know like, I've accomplished a lot. You look confident and stuff like that. Some people want to just be perceived as like, I'm a super nice person. Like, for me personally, I always want to be perceived as someone who's confident, someone who's very sure of herself, someone who's put together. I don't ever go places like in pajamas, for example. And this doesn't mean like putting on makeup every time I go out or making sure my hair is like done to the nines. No. But just, you know, looking put together. And at the end of the day, that can mean different things for everybody. But for me, it's just making sure I look at least, you know, well kept. That's important for me. I remember one time, this was back when I was in college. In one of my classes, it was 8 a.m. We were getting ready to take finals. Like, I just walked into the room minding my business, and some girl who literally she sat like to my left. We never spoke. We never ever spoke to each other, but I remember when I walked in the room, like out loud to the whole class, she goes, "This girl walking in here, like she all that." I was like, girl, what? Like, first of all, I had to figure out like who just said that, because in that class I talked to one person and it was a boy. Like, he was the only person that I knew, because I knew him from back in high school. Like, everybody else in that class, like, I literally did not speak to. Like, why is that what you would say? Like, this person never spoke to me before. But to her, it's kind of like, and I know how I carry myself. Like I said, I want to come off like I'm confident, you know, sure of myself and stuff like that. And I think I do for the most part, but it's like the way she said it, she kind of perceived it as this person thinks she's better than everybody else. And that's definitely not the case. So I'm going to set my under eyes with the MAC Mineralized Skin Finish. This one's in Dark Deep. So yeah, with that situation, what I quickly realized, like, it annoyed me at first, but then I sat back, I'm like, okay, I barely spoke in that class to even begin with. But I realized, I'm like, that's just how she perceives me. She probably thinks of me that way, because I did not ever say anything to make it seem like that's what I thought of myself, you know? Like I said, I barely spoke in that class. She's someone I never ever spoke to. So that's just how she sees me. When I look at people who I think like come off like, you know, very confident, walk in the room with confidence, I look at them as like, you know, I can see that they're confident people. I'm not gonna look at them and be like, why does she think she's better than everybody else? When you start to do things to like make yourself become that person, that's why it's very important to create those good habits and to get rid of, you know, bad habits that the person that you want to become wouldn't have. So yeah, guys, work on yourselves, and little by little, I promise you will start to see results. Like, it was like almost instant for me. It mostly started happening like this year. I've just let go of so much like fear, so much doubt, because I was the first person to doubt myself, like with every little thing. Like, I will think about like what can go wrong more than like, but what if it works out, you know? So that was my thing, just having a lot of doubt. I put myself into situations that just made me uncomfortable, but at the end, it's like always worked out for me. So that's just what I'm gonna continue to do, because like, life is so short. Why are we gonna just, you know, shy away from the things that we want to do? Because it's like, what if, you know? It's easier to be like, what if things go wrong, and we just like, you know, back out because things can go wrong. But like, what if they go right too? So that's just been my mindset. I've just been making myself so uncomfortable, and by that I mean like just doing things that are out of my comfort zone, doing things, you know, that are gonna make me more disciplined as a person. The next topic I'm gonna be speaking about is something I could go on with for hours. It's friendship groups. If you've had your fair share in friendship groups, y'all know that a lot of times they be messy. Personally, for me now, I'm not a fan of them. I'd rather have my friends just, you know, separate. And this is not me saying that they don't always work out, because I do have one friendship group that's like, you know, super tight. Like, everybody's cool. Like, it's no problems. But I've had a lot throughout my years. It's not my thing. I feel like it always ends up, how do I say this? Like, it always ends up where there are certain people who are closer than others, and then, you know, one person will feel left out. Or say if it's like 4 people, it'll be like 2 people are cooler than the other 2, and then this is said about this person, this is said about the next person. It just gets a little bit too messy for me. Not every person can be in a friendship group and like not be messy. It just takes a certain type of person, which is why I'm grateful for the friendship group that I do have that's very like non-problematic. And this is me speaking with like years of experience with different friend groups. And it's like, you just peep a lot of like different things. Like, you know, they'll invite one person, but they'll leave you out. Or you'll hear that somebody's saying this and that. It's just very messy. Like I said, not a lot of women are cut out for it. Like, and I'm just being honest. I'm really just being honest. A lot of times it's really just better to like keep your people separate, and that's what I prefer. This for me has been going on like elementary school days, high school days. Like, I'm over it. And I'm not saying I'm the perfect person, absolutely not. if I get to the point where I feel like I'm being treated differently or that somebody's like being a little funny towards me, I will just back off, because I really don't have time to like entertain anything or anyone that I just feel like, you know, isn't being like good enough to me. Because personally for me, I don't put myself in situations where if I feel like I really can't like relate to a person too much, I'm not gonna just like force a fake friendship with you, try to be fake, knowing it's just not clicking. So in situations where I feel like people are doing that, I don't know if you know what I mean, like, you know, you have those friendships that are like half-assed. For me, I'm not gonna keep up like heavily with a friendship that I know I'm half-assing, just because it's not fair to the other person, because it's like, why should I be like, you know, faking that with you? So when I get that from somebody else who is like doing the most with me but not completely being honest, because I can see that they don't really like mess with me like that, I'm just gonna fall back, because it's like, why are you wasting like both of our times? You know, we can be cool like on a surface level, but why are we gonna pretend to be besties? Like, what's the point? The next topic I'm going into is toxic relationships. With this, I feel like you just know when something is worth it versus when something is not. Like, if you're spending most of your time like questioning things, being upset with toxic situations, whether it be romantic or platonic, it's just like, just put your energy towards like leaving that situation alone versus trying to fix it, because 9 times out of 10, it's just not gonna work. It's just not gonna work. It's just gonna drain you until you just realize like, I can't do this anymore. Then you end up leaving. But by that time, it's like so much time is wasted. So what's the point? You feel me? And like I said, I know I'm looking at it from a very like cutthroat angle, like just, you know, cut the situation out. But sometimes that's really just how you have to look at things, because when you don't and you let your emotions talk for you, that's when like you think like, oh, like let me go back or let me try to fix things and stuff like that. And you don't want to get too emotional with situations like that, because that's how you get like drawn back in. Real quick, I'm about to set my face with the Morphe powder. I cracked this, and this is the second one that I bought that I cracked, so I'm not sure what's going on. I'm probably just not meant to use this powder, but every time I get it, I crack it, and it's cracked now, so I have to be very careful. Do your best to think logically, because a lot of times you'll know in your head that like, I shouldn't be in this right now, but it's like your emotions tell you but this, but that, you know, like you're gonna miss the person and stuff like that, but you shouldn't think off of your emotions, because yeah, they're gonna tell you to stay because you like the person. So that's just what I gotta say on that. Just get yourself to a point where you wouldn't even think of entertaining those type of things. Let me add a little bit of blush. I'm gonna go in with my e.l.f. palette. This one's a dark palette. And I'm gonna mix these 2 pink shades right here. So into the next topic of being financially responsible. Being financially responsible, it's like you need to be very disciplined. If you like nice things, with me, it's like bags. Like that's where I'll put a lot of my money and it won't bother me. But I always need to remember, like, just because you have the money doesn't always mean you could buy it. Even if you could buy it twice, because you know how they always say, like, if you can buy something twice, you can afford it. But when it comes to things that are like not necessities and things you want to get often, you do have to be careful and like really think to yourself, should I really be doing this? Because like I said, even when you have the money, that doesn't necessarily mean you should be spending it. It's not good to always have the mentality of, yeah, I have it, so I'm gonna spend money on it. Because when you do, it's like, okay, but how are your savings looking? You know? And one big thing for me is I saw this video, I think it was on TikTok or something, and it was talking about lifestyle creep. And if you know what lifestyle creep is, it's like when you go from, you know, making a decent amount of money and then you like get a new job or something, whatever, and you start making way more money, and then you start to, you know, up your expenses. You know, maybe you're getting a more expensive car, so now your monthly payments are higher. You're going shopping more, so now you're spending more money. You know, you're going out to eat at more expensive restaurants. Then at that point, it's like you could find yourself in a rut. You know you're making more money, so it's like, all right, now that I'm making more money, let me go up everything. So it kind of cancels out, if you know what I mean. And then you could find yourself in a situation where you're in debt or you have like nothing saved up. What I think is important in this situation is just to know like what is doing too much with what you're making versus what is not. It's important to, you know, set aside some money, whether it's every paycheck or every month, set aside a certain amount of money that's gonna go straight to your savings, because you really just never know. Like, emergencies can happen out of nowhere, you know, with your car or just any other emergency, or you get laid off, you know, what are you gonna do? So it's very important to have a plan, have a savings. That always should come first before, you know, you buy a new bag, you buy some new shoes or anything. But don't get me wrong, that's also not me saying that you shouldn't indulge, because if we're gonna be working this hard, what is it gonna be for? It's definitely not gonna be just to, you know, pay some bills. Like, I'm gonna buy things I want, I'm gonna go out to eat, and it's normal. You should do that. Enjoy the fruits of your labor, of course. But it's just to do it within reason. There's no need to be spending any amounts of money that you know you don't have, or that you know you shouldn't be spending, just to come off a certain way on the internet, because it really does not matter. Like, you guys will be so surprised how much of a facade the internet really is. The security of like having money saved up or having some money to the side and not going broke for the sake of, you know, looking like you got it, that's much better than, you know, going out to spend thousands of dollars, you know, on whatever designer item just to look a certain way. So with financial responsibility, I think another thing is just to plan things properly. Like I said, setting aside a certain amount of money, knowing how much you should or shouldn't spend, like just creating maybe a little budget for yourself. I will say I don't do that. What I typically do when it comes to like, if I know I'm about to buy something very expensive, what I'll do is, one, I don't impulse buy anymore. I used to be very impulsive with whatever I would purchase. I've wasted so much money doing that. If you're gonna indulge in something, just make sure, you know, you're gonna have use for it. And when it comes to like planning purchases, I do think you should plan some purchases. Like, maybe give yourself a few months if it's something very expensive, you know, tell yourself you're gonna put aside this amount of money, and then within a few months, you gather that amount, and then, you know, you go buy what you wanna buy. I just think purchasing things on impulse is not always the best, because a lot of times it can be a waste of money. And remember, you don't need to be at a point where you're, you know, literally writing things down. I mean, for some people that works. They like to write things down, like budget things, write it down. For me personally, I can't do that. What I'll do is just to limit myself. If I want something, I'm not just gonna be like, all right, I'm gonna buy it. You know, like I said, I like to sit on things first, especially if they're more expensive. The final topic I want to touch on is just basically like self-confidence and not comparing yourself to others. Earlier, I was speaking to you guys about just becoming the person you want to be. And like I said, I did mention that that doesn't look the same for everybody, but I think one thing that everybody should have is confidence. So when you're trying to like figure yourself out, oh my God, I think I got the glue on my eyelid a little bit. When you're younger, I feel like those are the hardest times, when you struggle with your confidence, which is totally understandable, because you're at a point where you're basically trying to like figure out who you are and stuff like that. So you're not always so sure, which is totally fine. But overall, it's okay to fake it. It's definitely okay to fake it. Tricking yourself into like believing you actually are, then you just end up believing it. Making yourself uncomfortable, where you put yourself in situations where, you know, you kind of have to step out of your box a little bit. I find that those build confidence so much, because it's like once you get it accomplished and you feel good about yourself and you're like, oh, like I can do that. And then you just already feel better about yourself, and that just helps build confidence. When you're on your journey of trying to, you know, figure yourself out, have your confidence, the last thing you should do is compare yourself to the next person. And this is just for a couple reasons. But first of all, we don't really know what people are going through, okay? Like I said, faking confidence is one thing, and you don't know if the next person really is confident or if they're just trying to come off, you know, a certain way. And there's really no reason to try to like, you know, compare how they are versus how you are, because, you know, comparison is the thief of joy, like they say. That's very, very true. Not everybody's, you know, timeline is going to be the same. If you see someone else getting to a goal that you're not at, so what? Like, that's perfectly fine. You shouldn't look at that as like, you know, something to derail you, or something to lower your confidence, or something to make you feel bad because they may be younger than you and in a better position, you know, in life, financially. Maybe you think they look better, whatever the case may be. you just have to remember that everybody's time is different, and that just is what it is. Like, you know, and when you're so busy just trying to focus on the next person, you're essentially taking away from yourself, because all that energy that you're spending, like, you know, looking at the next person thinking, why I don't have that, you can put that energy elsewhere into bettering yourself, into getting yourself in the position where you want to be. And also just remember that, like, all that glitters is really not gold. Like I said, you never really know what a person is going through, how their life appears to be, or whatever, because at the end of the day, especially if you're getting it off of social media is never ever going to show you the whole truth. And I don't care how honest you think a person is, nobody's ever gonna show you all their L's. Nobody's ever gonna come and show you, you know, all the times they're down or whatever. They might come and tell you, you know, after they've gotten through something and everything is all good. So I put on my other lashes off camera because my camera shut off on me. So now the last thing I'm gonna do is my lips. But back to what I was saying, nobody is gonna show you like all of their L's that they take, and which is understandable. Like, this is why I don't like when people are like, oh, people are not going to show you everything. But it's like, yeah, who's going to want to come on and show you like all of the bad things that happen to them? You know, it's understandable. I get that. And I don't believe in oversharing on social media anyway, because 9 times out of 10, you're going to regret it. Because if you're talking while you're super emotional, it's like you're probably telling people more than you'd want to let them know anyway. And then when you get back to your senses, you're like, maybe I shouldn't have posted that. So it's just one of those things, like, don't compare yourself, because at the end of the day, you're never really going to know what people got going on, you know, behind closed doors, which is totally fine, because it's really not our business either. I'm just lining my lips, y'all, and y'all gonna see me overline because I know I don't need to overline, but let me just finish lining my bottom lips and then I can finish talking. We shouldn't even be, you know, caring about what other people got going on, and it shouldn't make us feel better if we know that other people are going through things, just so we can feel better about ourselves. Don't focus on others, because you're probably gonna get it all wrong. Even though you may think you know what's going on, you really don't. I don't know what to do with my hair. I don't know if I should just keep it down like this. I was thinking of like maybe putting it all back, but then like my ears be popping out a weird way sometimes. I'm really not sure what to do with my hair. Like, I'm kind of bored of it just down like this, but I also don't have the energy to be doing no crazy styles right now. For my fragrance, I'm going to use the Valentino Born in Roma. This is very fun, flirty, so I think it's perfect for dinner. I don't like to spray too much because I be getting a headache so fast. It's so annoying. So this is the final look, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you enjoyed our little chat. I'm gonna be asking you guys for topics and stuff on my Instagram when I do these kind of videos again, so make sure you follow me on there. And thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in my next video.
Dubai.